I'd like to get a bit of a show of hands. Who here feels like they are holding themselves back from putting themselves out there on video, or maybe from speaking in public because they don't like the way they look? Let me know in the comments. I'd really love to know if this is something that's holding you back, because often in my Facebook entry questionnaire thing, when people fill out their responses, what I'm hearing is that often it is this fear of being seen, or this thing around, I just don't like the way I look on camera, or I just don't like the way I look. And so I know that this is, or it can be, a real problem for a lot of women, especially women, and men too. Don't get me wrong, this is not just an issue for women. Definitely, men experience this as well. But in this group, I wanted to share with you a couple of tips and strategies that I found really helpful, because I know personally, I've definitely been there. I've definitely been in a place where I have felt like I don't like the way I look. When I look in the mirror, it's, the thoughts were not good. And so now I feel like I've got to a place where, even though today, and I'm just going to show you a glaringly obvious, I had a bit of an altercation with the ground on Saturday while I was playing netball. So I've got this massive big graze on my forehead. And even on days like this, where I don't particularly like the way that I look right now because of this graze on my head, I'm still able to push past that and show up on video for all of you so that I can share with you these strategies and tips. I can see that somebody's joined me live, so say hello. Whenever you're watching any of my videos live, please let me know, because sometimes it can feel, especially on Facebook and Instagram lives, can kind of feel like you're on your own out there. So I love it if you give me a love heart or a hello, a bit of a wave, and let me know who's there watching. And also, if you're watching the replay, let me know, #replay. And if you've got any comments or questions along the way, I'd love for you to interact with this, because what I find is the people that do engage and interact with these mini classes, and I say that because they are mini, I generally, between 5 to 15 minutes are these little pop-up classes, which I'm doing now every Tuesday. So I'm calling them Tuesday Tips. So today we're talking all about what happens with and how do you move past and start really accepting the way that you look, whether that's on camera, whether that's being photographed, or in other areas of your life as well. So I've got a couple of notes here as well that I'm going to share with you. And I've also got a bit of a prop, a magazine that I bought this morning that I'm going to bring in just a moment too. So for me personally, just a little bit of background around my story. Me personally, I used to be one of those people who would not leave the house unless I had a whole lot of makeup on. I would, layer after layer of foundation and powder and all of that kind of thing. I used to be that person. I would not leave the house unless I was, perfectly made up, my face particularly. And one of the reasons for that was because I was so caught up in what other people thought of me. I was so caught up in whether or not people would judge me, what they would say about the way I looked, people would criticize me, all of these things. And now that I've done a lot of work around this for myself personally, now that I know that, that's just not a thing for me anymore. And one of the biggest things actually that changed for me was when I started tour guiding. So about probably over 10 years ago now. When I was 21, I started tour guiding, and I started tour guiding over in America, right? So I'd studied acting, I'd been working as an actor for a while, and then decided that I wanted to go traveling. And this opportunity came up to be a tour guide on camping tours. And me personally, I'd never been a camper, right? I was like hotels all the way kind of gal. And obviously, makeup and fully dressed, all that kind of stuff. So when I decided to take the leap and go for this job, which was a tour guide on camping tours, it actually changed my whole perspective of myself in the world and also my perspective of others and how they viewed people, right? So I don't know if anybody else has had this experience before, when you kind of go traveling and you learn a lot about yourself and you learn a lot about other places and cultures and things like that. But for me, that opportunity and that time in my life where I was tour guiding and camping and, you know, taking people through hikes and things like this, I got to know a lot about myself, and I got to start accepting some of the flaws that in the past had really held me back and I was really worried about. I spent a lot of time and energy worrying about things that once I started tour guiding and getting into nature and really connecting with people on another level, that I realized didn't quite matter so much to me. And so the reason I'm sharing this with you is because, you know, every one of us is going to have a different journey with this. But I want to maybe open your eyes to some ideas that if you are struggling with this at the moment, for which I know that many people are, and I'm going to share with you some of the reasons that we do struggle with this. But if you are struggling with this, the reason I'm sharing this today is so that you can find maybe a path forward for yourself. And maybe you can take some steps in the direction of becoming more comfortable with the way that you look and accepting the way that you look, so that you can do those things that you need to do or you want to do within your business, whether it is to show up on a Facebook Live or on camera, so that you can reach more people and share your message with the right audience, with people that are going to resonate with you. So a couple of reasons that we tend to have this fear around being seen, or whether we have this thing of, you know, I don't like the way I look. And if that's something that's holding you back, some of the reasons for that is that we tend to compare ourselves to others. And like I said, at the supermarket this morning, I was like in line thinking about this live video and what I was going to talk about and things like that. And I saw the magazine stand. So I picked one up. I haven't bought a magazine like this in a long time, but I picked one up and I thought, ooh, that could be really interesting to have a bit of a look at before I do this live, because I know when it comes to growing up as a female, often where we compare ourselves, and it's not necessarily other people saying we've got to compare ourselves, it's the way we perceive ourselves, right? So if we are seeing beautiful people, models and actresses and people on the front of the covers of magazines and in movies or in TV shows that are absolutely drop dead gorgeous, then it is a natural response for us to compare ourselves to that. And then to not feel good enough about ourselves because in the eyes of society, we don't compare to, you know, that model standard or whatever the standard is. Right? So we are continuously seeing examples of and hearing people talk about the, you know, what is beautiful, what is pretty. And as young girls, we learn, that's what beautiful is. That's what pretty is. Because we see it, yeah? We see it all around. And it's not just in magazines, you know, ads on TV for makeup, and there's a whole industry that is built on women not feeling good enough. There is a whole industry built on women wanting to change the way they look. There's a lot of money made there. And so it's really convenient for industries like the beauty industry, for young girls and for women to believe that they don't look good enough without makeup or without extra stuff. Extra things to make them look beautiful or pretty. And so this is this lifelong, like conditioning. And that's what it is. It's conditioning that we're not good enough or we're not pretty enough. And so it's understandable that we get to, you know, in our 30s or 40s or 50s, 60s, and we believe that we are not pretty enough, that we don't look good enough to be on camera. Makes absolute sense, right? Let me know in the comments, what's coming up for you around this? Is this something that you're like, oh my God, yeah, I get it now. We've been fed this, this lie, really. And sure, things might be starting to change slightly, a little bit, maybe. But also, I see in lots of instances, it's getting worse. I mean, you have to just look around at the big lashes, like the false lashes that I see a lot of young girls wearing now. And, you know, what that says to me is they don't feel that they're good enough as they are. They have to do something more, or be more, to be accepted, or to feel within themselves that they are good enough. So there's lots of things going on in society that really back this up. So we're meant to not feel or like the way we look. That's the way the way that society has set it up. So how do we break that down? How do we move past that and get to a point where we can accept the way that we look as we are, and we can learn to love ourselves however we look, even when you've got a graze on your forehead. So one of the things that, and like I said, I've got some notes down here. One of the things I wanted to talk about was choosing love over fear. And if you think about it, what is really happening when we think these thoughts of I'm not pretty enough, I'm not good enough, or I don't like the way I look when I get on camera? All of these thoughts come from a space of fear. And don't get me wrong, there's good fear and there's fear that holds us back, right? Fear is this inbuilt mechanism, and it's a part of our brain. It's a response in our brain that keeps us alive, fear. But the thing is that part of our brain can't tell the difference between an actual threat, like, to stop us from stepping off a cliff and falling, or to stop us from stepping in front of a bus. It can't tell the difference between that, a real threat, and a perceived threat. So the perceived threat is potentially feeling like we're going to be judged or criticized from doing something like a Facebook Live. And so our brain can't actually tell the difference between those two types of threats. So that fear comes in. That fear comes in to keep us safe. And I imagine for a lot of you, if you are facing this at the moment, that's what's happening, is that this fear is stopping you because it wants to keep you safe. And so to be able to manage that is to think, thank you for keeping me safe. But you know what? I think I've got this. My message is more important for me to share right now than holding on to that fear. And finding different ways that you can choose to love and accept what you look like, who you are, and what makes you different. In fact, I've got this really great quote, and it's funny because it actually comes from this magazine that I picked up, and I thought, I'm going to use that, and, magazines are the devil. But actually, really great article in here. It's about Isla Fisher, Australian actress. And get this, the first line, at 5'3" with her heels kicked off, Isla Fisher knows how to embrace her shortcomings. So this whole article is really what we're talking about now. It's how to embrace maybe the things that we don't like about ourselves, maybe the things that we think are not perfect or not good enough. And I love this. This is what Isla Fisher says. It's a trick, right, that she picked up at clown school. Gotta love that. Isla Fisher went to clown school. She studied at a theatre school in Paris, and one of the things that they worked on was embracing our so-called flaws. And she said, because I'm short, I'd wear big clothes that would drag on the floor, and I turned that into a side gag. I learned to embrace my size. The things I once tried to hide have ended up being the things that differentiate me. And I absolutely love that, because that ties in so beautifully with another one of my points here, is to take ourselves lightly, is to have a bit of a laugh, have a bit of a joke. When you fall on your face because you've tripped over your own feet just like I did, I can have a bit of a laugh about that. And I'm not going to spend my time and energy trying to hide, try to cover it with makeup and be in pain because it hurts to touch. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show up without makeup on and make a bit of fun out of myself because I tripped over my own feet and fell flat on my face. And I think that's one of the biggest things when it comes to accepting our flaws, is to go, well, you know what? I can actually make a bit of fun out of this, and I can be more relatable. I think this is a really big one when it comes to showing up on camera. You can be more relatable if you do have a bit of fun and take yourself lightly. People will resonate with you if you show up as you, authentically you. They will love and connect with you so much more than if you're trying to be somebody else, or if you've got, cakes and cakes of makeup on. I'm not saying makeup is a bad thing. Sometimes I wear makeup. I enjoy putting on makeup, and I like the way that it makes me feel. It makes me feel feminine and special and things like that. But there was a time when I really relied on that. I really relied on that makeup to get me out of the house. And that, for me, that was when it became a problem. And so now, having that flexibility, I can have a bit of fun, and I can walk around and sometimes go to work without any makeup on, and it's okay, because people start to recognize however you show up. So if you're showing up every single day with a lot of makeup on, the people around you get used to seeing you that way. And so if one day you decide, I'm just not going to wear any makeup to work, then the people around you might be thinking, oh gosh, you look really tired. Oh, are you okay? Do you feel sick? You look a bit sick today. Because they're so used to seeing you with makeup on, and it's a completely different look when you don't have makeup on. And it's also the way we get used to seeing ourselves. So if you wear a lot of makeup and you're seeing yourself in the mirror every day, and then one day you don't wear makeup, your brain is kind of like, hold on a second, what's going on here? She doesn't look the same. So again, our brain is like comparing ourselves to what it is used to. I trust that makes sense. Let me know in the comments, what's coming up for you? What are your thoughts? Is this helping? The other thing that I wanted to talk about was a really, really great way to help to overcome this is to start focusing on the things that you do love about yourself. And in the beginning, if you've had, some really strong self-talk that puts you down, or if you've been telling yourself for a long time that you look ugly, that you don't like the way you look, you're not pretty enough, you're not good enough, if you've had that self-talk for a long, long time, in the beginning, it can be really challenging to find something, to write something down that you actually love about yourself. But that's where you start. That's where you can start this process of building up some evidence. Hey, you know what? I really like the shape of my eyes. It might be as simple as that. Or I really like that little dimple, or that little mole I've got up there. Tiny little things. What can you start to focus on and love about yourself? And it might be the things that make you different. It might be the things that make you stand out. Because especially when it comes to business, standing out is a really, really great thing. And I trust that you're getting that. Just gonna take a sip of water. I have a bit of a tickle in my throat. So create this evidence around, what do you love about yourself? And if you can't think of anything right now, I want you to go to a friend, a trusted friend, and say, I need some help. What are the things that you love about me? And start there. Because if you have no evidence yet of the things that you can point out and you can focus on to love about you, then you're going to continue to spiral down. But if you can find somebody else outside of you who can start talking to you in a way that you might never have talked to yourself before, in a way that we should be talking to ourselves, that's how you're going to start building up this evidence of, I do like the way I look. And you will get to that point if you really want to. I tell you what, you're also getting something out of not liking the way you look. And generally, it's to keep ourselves safe. Yeah? So if you've got this kind of talk in your mind, going through your mind of, I just don't like the way I look, and that's stopping you from putting yourself out there on video, it's likely that those thoughts are there to keep you safe. So if you want to learn some more about this, like I said in the beginning, I could talk about this for hours. I've got so many notes here. I've got so many notes, and I'm just sharing just a snippet because I don't want to go on for, an hour. I don't even know what the time is, but I've probably gone over my 15 minutes anyway. But if you do want to learn a bit more about this and dive deep and figure out what it is for you, if you feel like, I've got some really deep beliefs that I'm not good enough, that I don't like the way I look, whatever it is for you, I am here for you. Please reach out to me. I would love to have a conversation. I'd love to be able to help you move past that because I know that it's possible. I absolutely know that it's possible. Another idea could be to join us on one of my introductory workshops. And that's all about moving past some limiting beliefs that you have around showing up on video. And it's a 3-hour workshop where we dive deep and we learn in that workshop how to create a first video. So if you've never created a video before and you want to learn how to show up on camera, even if you don't like the way you look, then I'd encourage you to come along to that workshop. It's a really great place to start. So I'll pop a link for that just up above in the description as soon as I'm done. Again, I'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments, so let me know below what you've thought about today's little session, and if there's anything in particular that you would like me to share with you on these little Tuesday tip classes. And like I said, I'll be here every Tuesday. Bye for now.